Welcome to the Enterprise Fleet Summit. Today we are joined by Michael Kornhauser, Sector Vice President of Transportation and Logistics at Trimble. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
I am looking forward to today. Enterprise fleets, I will admit, it is something that's always kind of fascinating to me just because it's not my area of expertise. But before we get too far into kind of how we're utilizing AI in that space, let's get some background on you and how you got started at Trimble.
Sure. Again, thank you for having me. I'm Michael Kornhauser. I've been with Trimble for 12 years since the acquisition of ALK Technologies business. And then I was previously with ALK for about 15 years. And ultimately, I grew up in the ALK business. It was founded by my parents in the late 70s. And so I was always playing around the business as a kid. And when it came time to enter the real world, that's where I came. So, uh, been with Trimble, like I said, for 12 years, and then with ALK previously for about 15.
So I feel like that gives you a really unique perspective because you do have that heavily carrier transportation background. So you've kind of seen all of the trends come and go throughout the years. You have the experience in the industry. So it kind of gives you the insights as to say, hey, these are directions that we should be going versus something that might just be like a quick flash in the pan that's not worth spending your time on. As I'm sure you've seen many trends come and die over the past few years.
Yeah, yeah, and I have seen some trends come and go, and I do think that this is a fundamentally different situation with what we're seeing from AI and some of the real tangible benefit that we can see through AI coming already, and the pace of change or kind of improvement, advancement in AI is something that I don't think we've ever seen in the technology industry, and is a true uh, game changer in terms of the efficiencies and what it can do to help transform the industry.
That leads me right into my first question that I kind of have for you today. So because we see AI all the time, especially in like the software side of things, on the brokerage side of things, we see it really heavily getting heavily integrated. But one of the problems I feel like that comes with AI integration is that, you're only as strong as your weakest user. And I love drivers. I love carriers. They're fantastic. But the amount of times that I have had to tell a driver, I can't, like, I need you to have something more than a Nextel flip phone with the
Mhm.
walkie talkie on it. I need you to have something more than that. I need you to be able to get an email from me. And a lot of them are great about it, but you do still have some of those drivers that do like to kick it old school. So, how do you really how do you when you're looking at these broad pictures of like, okay, these are tools we want to roll out, these are things that we want to do, how do you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and like introduce these items, come out with this software while balancing the fact that you will have some late adoption with some of these drivers that, like some of like the things that the way they are.
Yep. Yeah. No. And I think that it's definitely a bit of a push and pull there. We've seen from our carrier customers a pretty strong demand to implement AI technology, and although um, yeah, it's not the most forward technology environment. We do see them doing some innovative things right now with excuse me, with AI, and so um, I think that it starts with that. But at the end of the day, although on one hand AI is a transformational technology, and I think how we use it will again create a transformational opportunity for our industry. At the end of the day, it's also just software, and software since the beginning of time has been built to help humans do various different tasks. And so, um, in a sense, I don't know, we developed the spell checker so that it was easier to write a document. Well, now AI can write the document for you, and then you just edit it. So it's kind of it's another step in that change. And so I think ultimately when delivering AI functionality, it has to be kind of wrapped in the existing workflows that fleets are going through today, and showing them that real tangible benefit of reducing steps, reducing manual processes, getting the paper out of the process. And so I think that when you show them that they're all for it. And so, I think that it's about showing that benefit and that tangible benefit. And I do think that the implementation of AI helps us do that. We're building our software to have AI functionality in it, so features that are powered by AI, and then also building it to be usable by both humans and by AI agents. And so we're kind of again building that in a way that it's ultimately the customer's choice. If they want to build an agent to run the software, if they want to acquire an agent from us to run the software, or to run it, completely with humans. So I think that giving some optionality, presenting that true value and that step change, and saying, hey, by implementing this, we've reduced this amount of paper process or this amount of human error. At the end of the day, we have AI agents that are doing human manual tasks that are performing better than humans. And so, when the results are better, they're faster, and they're kind of delivered in a more cost effective way, then I think it's hard to ignore.
I think that's a really good point because it's not necessarily about like, your chat GPT overlords coming in to take over. It's about how
Yeah,
you can utilize these in hand with something that you're already doing. So, for example, I know personally one of the problems that I had with some of my drivers and my carriers was they if they had a if they especially if they were smaller, or if they were like a driver who was stuck in their ways, they would have to wait till like once a week or once every other week to go to like the UPS store to then fax in their signed BOLs. And I'm like, hey, if we could do literally anything better than this solution, that would
yeah,
be great. And so I think even if it's just simple, something as simple as like, okay, so if they have a smartphone, they have a way to scan things in, or they have a way to make their paperwork easier. Because I don't know any driver that said, you know what? I got into driving for the paperwork.
yeah,
I love it. None of them. If there's a way for them to never have to deal with the paperwork other than just, here's my BOL, sign it, or here's what it is, this is what you put on like my truck. That's it. That's it.
yeah, absolutely. And so again, I think it's about showing that value, and when you show that value, it ends up being a pretty simple decision from the the consumer side. So yeah, I think that's how we can kind of break through. Again, what I think from the outside, people think that trucking companies don't mess with technology very much. I would beg to differ. Being inside the industry, I think trucking companies are some of the most technologically advanced businesses
Mhm.
out there. And again, they're doing very complicated tasks, and so the ability to a remove a paper process, or b take a task that's done by humans, but not, they only get it right like 90% of the
Yep.
time. Well, maybe with AI we can get it right 95% of the time, and so then you kind of change the dynamic there a little bit.
I think one of the things, because transportation companies, they have like by nature have to be very tech forward because of all the moving parts that they have.
Of
But
course.
one of the things that you guys really specialize in is that route optimization part of things. And I think that that's something that really lends itself nicely to one AI, because you don't have to have someone sitting there typing in locations to Google Maps and like rerouting them and dragging them to see where they belong. That's something that you can very easily automate. But then also from a carrier perspective, that's so much easier to get that buy-in, because it's like, hey, if you want the most optimized route where you have the least amount of empty miles, you're not loaded, you're not running empty, like you always have freight on you. I think that's a no-brainer. I've never met a carrier that's like, well, I like driving 200 empty miles.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And we've been using AI and machine learning in our mapping and routing products for many years, kind of it was
Before it was cool.
before it was cool, I guess is maybe how you say it. But yeah, and so I think that is a huge part about gaining efficiencies. And whether it's I mean, having the truck drive the route that you are getting paid for. That's one thing that we can connect up with our PC Miler products. And B, making sure that when the driver's on that route, that there's not any wasted miles. They're not driving around the block at the destination. They're not trying to find the right truck entry path to the delivery location that they're going to. And so we've used machine learning and AI to build out millions of truck centric locations with truck entry points, truck exit points, car entry points, car exit points, and all the, basically places where trucks go, warehouses, truck stops, ports, that type of thing. And so we've mapped them all to, again, to create that efficiency. And one extra mile, times 500 trucks times 365 days creates a lot of wasted money. And so again, it's about getting that efficiency together. And then when we have the opportunity to create those efficiencies that are kind of sitting right there in front of us, then we can get to a situation where we're then also planning for contingencies before they happen. And so I think that that's another big thing that AI can do for the industry, is get us out of a situation where we're reacting to things that have already happened and put us into a situation where we can be predictive with what's happening. We have an AI based weather alerting system in both our routing and our navigation products, and that's looking ahead, uh, 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 often many days ahead at weather reports. Uh, and it's not just what you get from the Weather Channel kind of thing. We have hyper local road based weather, and so what that allows you to do, instead of being stuck in a snow storm and having your truck sit on the side of the road, you know about it 3 days in advance, and you can plan around that. And again, put yourself in a better position to succeed. So I think that that's a small example of, in general, how AI, one, makes us more efficient, but then it allows us to then have time to do some of these other things that um, I think everybody would want to do, but arguably most don't have, the time or the resources to do. So free up, get rid of all the kind of manual stuff, the paper stuff, and get humans, working on the hard problems. And also kind of then, and instead of humans just managing humans managing AI agents, and kind of playing that role down the middle. So yeah, I think that it creates exciting opportunity and a great opportunity for our industry.
I 1,000% agree. That has been my biggest, like, advocating reason for the introduction of AI is automate the stuff that you hate. Like, automate the stuff that
Yeah.
takes somebody that's doing, like, basically, like, you wanna focus on the exceptions because, look, it's transportation. I We are never gonna have a full day where every single load gets delivered without problems.
Uh,
Never gonna have that.
Fortunately not.
So, I do like that approach that you said where it allows you to kind of become more proactive versus reactionary, because that's something I think that we're all kind of, I don't want to say trapped in, but it's a really easy cycle to get trapped in once you kind of get behind. It's like in a kitchen when you're in the weeds and you just can't get out.
Yeah.
You're stuck just kind of adapting and saying like, okay, well now this is happening. Well now this is happening, instead of taking a step back and saying, okay, what is this larger picture that we are missing or that we are kind of lacking that's causing us to keep having to scramble after things and chase our tails. So I guess what have you seen, like you guys have mentioned like a weather thing. Have you seen a lot of adoption, not adaptation, a lot of adoption for those carriers that are looking to become more proactive versus reactionary? Because obviously there's going to be reactionary incidents like a flat tire truck breakdown. We're never going to be able to 100% predict those. We're getting a little closer with that predictive maintenance and analytics and stuff. But for the most part, like a shipper that you always get detained at. Like, have you seen a lot more adoption around that stuff?
Yeah, and again, there's a number of tools that we have at Trimble to kind of support various pieces of that process along the way. And yeah, a lot of excitement around it, I would say. And particular, uh, the weather products. We think about it in the context of or at least maybe I think about it in the context of snowstorms mostly.
Mhm.
But I mean, look, we just had severe flooding, tragic flooding in Texas. That obviously changes um, the infrastructure, the need to get goods down
Mhm.
to places like Texas after there's been an emergency, or after a hurricane in Florida or something like that. So I think that again, when we can leverage technology to help us around those unforeseeable events, that's really where it makes a big difference. And again, I think AI just puts us in a position to further do that.
It really does. It helps speed it up and be a little bit more efficient with it instead of just like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in Oklahoma City, I better check the weather at the next truck stop to see what it is." Or like, "Oh, that looks like a cloud is coming, and I wonder how long this rainstorm is gonna be where I can't see the road in front of me." So I guess looking forward to the future, what kind of developments or enhancements are you most excited about? It doesn't have to necessarily be Trimble specific if you guys are working on a top secret classified situation, but what are some of those trends and technologies that are coming out that you think is going to be the most either like used by or like embraced by AI, or just kind of some of those really big success stories that we're going to start seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think this agentic AI and having AI do like true excuse me, true end to end tasks um, is is really where the excitement comes. And we're doing a lot to develop AI agents internally for our internal use. And what does that do for customers? Is that makes us faster, it makes us more efficient, it makes us able to develop software faster, develop new features faster, um, test software more thoroughly, support software more thoroughly. And so um, I think that seeing some of the advancements there, and really, like I said, we have a product that um, we've replaced some internal humans with AI agents, and it's performing better than the humans perform. Now we've taken those humans and used them in other parts of the business, and I think that's a great example of how we can do it. Take the humans off of these not just remedial tasks, but
The more
the
mundane.
the more mundane tasks. Yeah, and but I mean even just core software development. If an agent
Mhm.
can write code, test code, fix code, and ultimately deploy code in a significantly faster way than humans. Okay, well, how do we work with that, and how does that make us again better for our customers? It allows us to develop software faster. It allows us to support it better, and deploy it easier, and all this kind of stuff. So I think really the internal transformation that we're looking to see from deploying AI agents internally is something that's very exciting to me. And then ultimately the opportunity to take those similar agents and offer them to our customers for their internal use is I think an exciting opportunity. And um, I think for sure we will be. I mean, we have tons of productivity measurements that we're seeing out of AI today, and the use of various different tools across the business, but really deploying agentic AI agents internally to build, test, deploy, and support code is an exciting opportunity. Again, it allows us to then take the resources that were doing that in the past and put them on
Yep.
building more products, building faster products, customizing things for customers, et cetera. So I think it's an exciting opportunity, and one that we are fully kind of committed to, and you'll see a lot from Trimble on around AI in the coming months.
I'm excited for this because this is something that I know everybody's like, "Oh, AI is gonna come in and, like, replace everybody," but I can't speak to other industries, but specifically within the transportation space, I see it helping out a lot in operations support for the people who do track and trace, and for the people who are, like, kind of doing the same thing all day, every day, and there's not necessarily, like, extra skills you're learning that you can move forward and grow in your career. But because that's such an entry level job for everyone in this industry, and it's still valuable because it kind of teaches you about how things work. But I think if you just have to sit there and kind of manage an exception instead of sitting there 8 hours a day, just changing appointment times as they get emailed to you, that feels like a better use of someone's time.
Totally agree. And I think that that's the exciting thing. Yeah, we don't think about it in terms of, you know, oh, now we don't need any more people to build
Right.
our software, sell our software, support our software. We just want to make those people more efficient to put us in a position to do a better job of building, supporting, and selling software.
Because ultimately, in a perfect world, everyone would just be able to chit chat and service your customer to the highest of their ability.
Yeah.
So, that being said, Michael, if anyone has any questions about maybe how to integrate with AI or kind of what's happening over at Trimble, where can they find you outside the show or outside the summit?
So find me at trimble.com, or my email is Michael underscore Kornhauser at trimble.com, and contact me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today and stay tuned for the rest of the summit. We have some amazing content coming your way.